July 22nd to order.
I've come here tonight to ask you to pass term limits for the Walnut City Council. I, along with many other citizens, feel that term limits are long overdue and that this city needs them as urgently as possible. Term limits are the best buffer to shut out career politicians, to stop collusion and corruption, and to help with political accountability. In any political system, there exists the incumbency advantage, where the person who is currently in office has a much greater advantage over challengers during elections. In fact, incumbents almost always win their re-election campaigns due to the simple advantage of name recognition. In a government without term limits, the incumbency advantage almost guarantees a permanent position of power. This system encourages incumbents to become career politicians who work purely on re-election and amassing political power. This leads to the possibility of corruption and collusion as politicians seek to only act for power instead of advancing the interests of the people who elected them. If this happens, then democracy has failed. You, council members, of course, know the facts. In the history of the Walnut City Council, there are some council members who have served for over 16 years. Now, I have no doubts that some of the council members who have served for more than 2 terms have directly contributed to making Walnut one of the best small cities to live in the entire country. I'm certain that the current council is trying its best to maintain that status, and for that, I thank you. It must be extremely difficult for you to hold a position of power and the many responsibilities it comes with. Power is lonely. Power segregates. You were all once ordinary citizens with many friends. Now you exist apart from them. Some of your old friends might even hate you now. Others might fear you. Some of you might even be fearful of your own power. There's perhaps no greater fear for a civil leader than the fear that you might abuse power. Some of you might have thought to yourselves, what if I use my power innocently but wrongfully? To these people, power is an entrustment often felt as a crushing load, and for some it can be a hideous gift. I cannot even begin to understand the pressure many of you must feel for taking this thankless job. However, as leaders of this city, you must be made aware of the serious institutional problems of a city government without term limits. This system prevents new blood from entering the government and reinvigorating the entire process with new ideas. It discourages the ordinary citizen from becoming involved with the governance of his own city.
Okay,
this goes completely against the ideals of a democratic government of the people, by the people, and for the people. We, the people, feel hopeless, like our voices are falling on deaf ears and don't matter anymore. We, the people, are afraid that our city is headed in the wrong direction and that there's nothing we can do to change that. We, the people, will only have a say in the governance of this city if regular people are allowed the opportunity to run on a level playing field.
Sir, you've exceeded your time.
And term limits level that field. Surely, in a city of 30,000 people, there are more than just 5 people who have good ideas about how to improve the city. I ask you to give them a chance. Give us a chance. As a young man, barely 19 years old, I myself might hope to someday run for a seat on the city council. However, I fear that I will be denied that opportunity because a graying old man who wants to occupy his seat for another decade will crush me under the weight of his political machine. I fear that my voice will never be heard by my own city. I fear that I might never be able to meaningfully contribute to or change my city for the better. Many people my age feel even more hopeless. They feel that their votes will never matter, so they don't even bother to participate in any part of the political process. Do we truly want the current generation of young adult women like me and my friends in the audience to feel like they have no power or no control over their own future? If this council refuses to set term limits, then it will have made that possibility a terrifying reality. Council members, many of you are parents and even grandparents. I feel that your children and grandchildren might grow up to share the same fears that I hold. Think about the precedent you wish to set for them. Think of me, think of your own children, and think of the people of Walnut and do what is right for this city. Use your power to restore democracy to this city by implementing a limit of 2 4-year terms for the Walnut City Council. A government by the people can only exist when the people are allowed a fair shot at running for office. Career-minded politicians, without the restraints imposed upon them by term limits, completely choke out the opportunity for any one of the people to effectively run against them. That reason alone is why term limits are so very important and why we, the people, need them now. Thank you.
And I'm just here to share a message to the council's members here. And as a concerned citizen for City of Walnut, we live in a beautiful city that is full of affluent, highly educated individuals that cares about the city. Having said that, my main concern here today is to deliver the message that in anything that's worth protecting and preserving, we need to speak up with one voice and one message. And my message today is about responsibility and accountability. I was very disappointed to witness the meeting that we had last 2 weeks ago. In the reputation that we have for the city of Walnut, it conjures up beautiful images of safety, very good school system, and obviously a wonderful environment. But 2 weeks ago, I think the reputation for the city of Walnut have been permanently tarnished. To my disappointment, I thought the meeting 2 weeks ago was an embarrassment. Changes needs to happen. It needs to happen as we realize that things are wrong. What I say about that is I first like to address the city attorney, Michael Montgomery. I think it's your responsibility to oversee that these council members are doing their job. I am concerned that there might be a possibility of a Browns Act violation, where in a tradition-based election rotation system was honored previously. Obviously, 2 weeks ago, that didn't happen. I thought that there may be a collusion, but I'm just one person. It's not my job as an attorney to look at that. I would encourage you to do the right thing for the citizen of Walnut, to properly investigate on those allegations. Whether those 3 people were making deals behind the door, we'll never know because we're not there. But it did seem like it was happening. So I really would love to get some accountability on that. Second thing I want to bring up is the allegation that there may be city council members representing the city of Walnut making deals, whether domestically or internationally. That is very disturbing. I think the residents living in the city are proud of that we have good people representing us. But if someone travels to, for instance, Mexico, China, France, and they're saying their title is given as a city council or mayor, and they're cutting deals, I think there's a conflict of interest, and that's very serious. Where I come from, if I don't do my job properly and I'm misrepresenting my firm, I'd be fired. And I think there needs to be a strict rules and regulations against that. There needs to be a warning in place so that doesn't happen again.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, but I'm not done, and I'd like to ask for more time.
You've exceeded your time.
Can someone offer me some extra time? Thank you very much. And I'd like to say that that is extremely rude for me not to be able to speak my mind. Aside from that, my other concern, I echo with the voice of Brandon. I think it takes a lot of courage for a 19-year-old person to come and speak up. Because every day in our daily busy lives, very often we become complacent. We trust in the people that we vote for, such as yourselves. But for a 19-year-old kid to come up here and say that enough is enough, that we need to have a rotation basis, I agree with that. Not only that, the limitation needs to be enforced, because I do agree. There are many people that would like to be involved. We live in a small city with 30,000 population. When will we ever get a chance to participate? As a person that's interested in the best interest of city. I think everybody needs to have a voice and take turn. So having to setting 2 terms, I think is very, very reasonable. I realize some of you love to do this as a career path, and I appreciate your passion for the city. As a citizen of Walnut, I really give you extra credit for that, but also I encourage young people to participate. I may be interested, so maybe let's just set a limit. Let's do 2 terms. That's not too much to ask. That's not asking you to leave the next year. I'm thinking 8 years should be enough to do your job, and we do thank you for all the time and service that you have provided so far. And having been elected as a mayor for the city of Walnut, I congratulate you, but also I think you have a big responsibility because you're the most senior person on the staff. You need to get your act straight because these people are following you. And don't stare at me in the eyes because I'm not intimidated by you. I don't work for the city. You do. So let's do a good job while you've been elected. Okay? Don't get in behind closed doors and just pull your weight around these people. That's not fair. And I think that's doing your job as a disgrace to the community. So I'm just here to voice my opinion. All I'm saying is, let's operate in a more fair and efficient manner to serve the people. You said it earlier, you're here to serve the people. Let's do that, and we will truly welcome you, and thank you for your time.
I'm here to talk about what happened 2 weeks ago. It seemed odd, to say the least. What happened at our last Walnut City Council meeting appears to be that 3 council members decided amongst themselves that Bob Pacheco, with there was no explanation. Just all of a sudden, hey, I want Bob Pacheco. Bob Pacheco, he should be mayor, even though Eric Ching is the mayor pro tem. The actions of these 3 city council members are both unjust and illegal. While the details of the law that the council members appear to have violated, the Brown Act, doesn't sound very exciting, it helps protect us from political abuses, like skipping the mayor's turn. I'm just going to give a little bit of detail about the Brown Act. Even though I feel like I should know something about it, I hear it all the time. I needed to find, there's plenty of information on the internet. This is what I found out. According to the Brown Act, legislative bodies exist for the purpose of conducting the people's business, and that business must be done in open meetings, where members of the public are allowed to participate. We had no idea that Bob Pacheco was on anybody's mind to become mayor when Eric Ching was the mayor pro tem. Generally, this is according to Wikipedia, generally governing bodies that violate the Brown Act, so if the Walnut City Council violates the Brown Act, they will rescind the action that caused the violation and start over. The Brown Act's main goal is to have business of local governing, the business of the local governing agency made public, where decisions are made out in public for the public to view. There is evidence provided by Mary Sue at the last city council meeting that she, Tony Cartegena, and Bob Pacheco violated the Brown Act. Mary Sue admitted during the meeting that the 3 of them decided what to do, and that they decided what's best for the residents. And that's a violation of the Brown Act. You can't do that in private. So there is information on the internet about what we can do when faced with a Brown Act violation. If our objective is to void the action of the City Council by voting in Bob Pacheco, there is a process for us. If a complaint objective is to have a court declare a government action null and void on account of a Brown Act violation, the procedure is spelled out in Government Code Section 54960.1, and the notice is to demand to cure and correct the violation in writing within 90 days. It's within 90 days, and I have it in writing. And it says, 2 weeks ago, the Walnut City Council voted to skip Mayor Pro Tem Eric Ching as mayor. This decision to bypass Ching and select Bob Pacheco was done in secret, and we demand that the council cure and correct their violation of the Brown Act by instating Mayor Pro Tem Eric Ching as the rightful mayor. Thank you.
I'd like to start by echoing the first gentleman's request on term limit. Even the President of the United States only has 2 terms. I don't believe the City Council has more responsibility than the President of the United States. So I think 2 terms is definitely enough for you to do the right thing for the city. We have a lot of sheriffs here. I hope they are here to protect the residents. If the City Council had done no wrong, you shouldn't be afraid. I'm both disappointed and embarrassed with the action and behavior in the last City Council meeting. We, the citizens of the City of Walnut, had the trust and confidence to vote all of you into your positions. So please, refrain from acting superior. And I'm now questioning and regretting my vote. And I'm sure there's probably other citizens feeling the same. That our decision to have you guys representing us was a mistake. And I believe integrity is essential, especially for those who run for public office. Because integrity is the uncompromising adherence to morals and values. This is what we teach to our children. And I'm not certain if you guys, as our city leaders, the public servants, have shown that through your actions. You're going to eat me alive, the way you look at me? It was evident that whatever was transpired was premeditated and had a gang and bullying mentality. This is exactly the behavior that we and the schools here in Walnut are teaching to prevent. This is entirely unacceptable, and everyone should be reflecting on his or her behavior before and during the last City Council meeting. I'm hoping that we're not going to just move forward with what had happened, but to review and take a look at what had happened to see if it was legal and ethical. We, the citizens of Walnut, have the power to select new candidates. So please exercise your right next time during election. And before I conclude this, if a mayor is just a figurehead, then can someone explain to me why is the title so important? What is the importance of the title? Titles do not suddenly grant respect to an individual. It needs to be earned. Respect needs to be earned. Otherwise, it's just a label. Thank you.
I'd like to say a few words. I'm not prepared, so my words may be random, so please forgive me. But it's really truly coming out of my heart and my conscience. Last City Council meeting, it was very embarrassing, and I saw some very shameful action by some City Council people. First of all, I read from the newspaper, I also heard from last time council that Councilwoman Mary Sue has potentially went to China and probably engaged some agreement or something that representing the city. And I demand a city to investigate. If that's true, if it's not true, please have Councilwoman Sue, please prove it out that's not true. If it is true, then this, I don't know any law or whatever is violating, but definitely it's not ethical. And I don't know any kind of agreement if acting while not being a city council mayor and not being informed the city and not without any knowledge or approval from the city, what is that agreement? We need to know. We have the right to know. When you are acting on behalf of the city, we citizens have the right to know. So we demand our city attorney to do an investigation of what it is. If it's Councilwoman come out very clean, I'm happy for that. But if it's not, please don't do it anymore. And please, that would be an example for other city council to act cautiously. Don't act out for council, city council for Walnut City without any approval or knowledge of the city. Secondly, of course, I echo everything what I said, what prior people said about term limit. I think it's about time. Just like the other lady said, if the president, our American president, United States president have two terms limit, why are we still keeping the forever term limit? There are many cities outside, very good city, they have term limit. They're running very fine. We don't need forever, city council forever there. And also about the Brown Act. Recently, somebody brought to my attention, there was a council meeting, I don't know when, about maybe a few months ago. There was an audit committee that I think Eric Ching, councilperson Eric Ching, wants to appoint or resign and have Nancy Tregard to be the leader of the audit committee leader. It was voted down by the same 3 people that voted for Mayor Pacheco last time. So it seems to me, how come these 3 council people always voted the same way? Why is that? Is there collusion, just like the other people said? I demand some investigation on that. And, okay, I think that's it. So, yeah, I think we're powerless. I'm very, very sad, but I think next city council election, please do the right thing. Select the right candidate. Thank you.
Actually, I want to say I was pretty touched by our Mayor Pacheco's opening speech. But unfortunately, his action speaks the opposite. Okay? And, after witnessing the conspiracy committed by Bob Pacheco, Mary Sue, and Tony Cartegena to exclude Eric Ching from becoming the legitimate mayor during the last council meeting, I've come to the realization that we have 3 unscrupulous council members who have formed actually a Brown Act violating alliance to make themselves the permanent mayor and mayor pro tem. That means Pacheco and Sue are the mayor and mayor pro tem this year. Sue and Cartegena will be the mayor and mayor pro tem next year. Then Cartegena and Pacheco will be the mayor and mayor pro tem the year after, and so forth. So basically, we're going to have we will be have 3-person dynasty in the city of Walnut. I mean, actually, the mayor rotation system will no longer exist. We might just make basically, I believe, a so-called, I would call, mayor monopoly era. Okay, a mayor monopoly era will be here to stay. As I said before, I could care less who the mayor is. And as far as, I can tell the 3 of you, as far as I'm concerned, Walnut mayor and $3.25 will buy you a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Okay, but, however, your deliberate act to corrupt and obstruct democracy was absolutely despicable. Okay, we the people are the first 3 words that begin the Constitution. But the three of them decided that Eric Ching's constituency is not part of we the people. And therefore, they denied Eric Ching's mayorship. Do you know what that means? That means I consider myself one of Eric Ching's constituency, and these 3 have violated my democratic right. Okay? And, to say shame on you is an understatement. And also, I think, I look at the whole thing. I want to say, Mayor Pacheco, I think you are actually the lead of this plot. The other 2 don't have the brain. Okay, they are just your gophers. You are the one who plotted the whole thing. So don't sit there telling me that we live in a beautiful city. Yes, that's true, but not in terms of democratic process. That has been broken because of 3 of you.